Hello, geometry students. For Mr. Fry, today is January 4th. This is due January 5th. This is the congruent triangles, isosceles, and equilateral triangles. I'm going to do the odd ones for you. Go ahead and do the even ones. Learn from your mistakes and you're making progress. Here we go. For each, find each missing measure. So we're going to find these two measures. If you have isosceles triangles, you have these two sides being equal. That means this is going to equal this. This angle is going to equal this angle. So my U is going to be 54. And then the way I got 36 is I took, remember the sum of all the interior angles of a triangle is 180. So if you take 180 and you subtract 54 and you minus another 54, you will get 36. What's left over is this angle right here, 36. Moving on, you can pause this as needed. Number 3. I have this and these two angles, so vice versa. If these two angles are equal, that means these two sides are going to be equal. So 18 inches is going to be EF, so EF is going to be 18. Now the same thing I did for F is what I did here. I took 180 minus the 23 minus the 23, and I was left with 134 for my angle F. For number 5, these two angles equal, that means these two sides equal. Go right along with my 1 and 3 that I just did. So if they equal, I go ahead and I solve for x. I isolate the x on one side, and I get 4 for my x value. For this, if these two sides are equal, these two angles are going to be equal. So these two sides are going to be set equal to one another. I just solve for x. Notice that I always go in the direction. You could go either direction with your variables or with your constants. And I like to keep my variables positive, so that's why I go the direction in the last two that I did. So x equals 16. Number 9. If this was 60 and this was 60, that means this has to be 60. 180 minus 60 minus 60. This is the equilateral. So all the sides are going to be equal. So this side equals this side. So I just set them equal to each other and I solve for x. Number 11. What I did was, I took these two angles that are equal. I solved for x. I got 10. And I plugged in my x value 10 in order to get angle 1. Angle 1 is going to be the same as angle 9. When I plug in 10 for that, also I get 43. So I got my angle 1 and angle 9, 43. It said that BDE is equilateral. That means 4, 5, and 6 are all going to be 60. So you have 3 answers right there, 60, 60, 60. And then 180 minus 60 gives me 8 and 3. 180 minus 60 gives me 3. So that would be 17 and 17. No, I'm sorry, 3. 120, I'm sorry, 120 and 120. So then I take my 9 and 8, 180 minus my 9 and 8. 180 minus 120 and 43 gives me the 17. And then my 2, that's how I got my 2 also. I took 180 minus the 120 minus the 43, and that gave me 17, because the sum of all the interior angles of a triangle are going to be 180. So 180 minus my angle 1 minus my angle 3 gave me my angle 2 measurement, which is 43. So there you have that one. That was a big one. All right, for 13, I have drawn out 13, and I just draw it out. You'll notice, like in the end, it's not drawn to scale, but these two angles are going to equal each other, so I set them equal to each other, and I solve for x. I get x as 6. I go ahead and plug in 6 for my x values in order to figure out angle Q, angle R, and angle S. Notice angle R is 118. So angle R is not drawn to scale. Angle R, if I was to draw it to scale, I didn't know what the scale was because I didn't know, what the heck it was. It would be more like this. Angle R would be an obtuse angle. But you don't know what it is going into the problem, so, don't let that fool you. just solve for the problem, solve for x, and figure out what they are, what the values are for each angle. And then number 15, I did the same thing. I drew it, not knowing what scale was going to be. But it turns out that x, y, and y, z are going to be equal to each other. I set them equal to each other and I solve for x. I go ahead and plug in my x value into those problems, and I'll figure out that x, y is 18, y, z has got to be 18. They got to be, they're congruent. And then y, z, if I plug in x, my 3 in for x, 3 plus 4 equals 7. So, this one wouldn't be to scale either. It would be, much more like this shape, because this is a lot shorter. It's a lot shorter. So. All right, good luck with the rest, and hope to see you soon.